Hey guys, we made it to season 5 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, we aim to empower and embrace creativity through diversity as we dive into the fascinating stories and experiences of a diverse range of individuals, highlighting their unique perspectives and creative endeavors, from artists and entrepreneurs to innovators and activists. We celebrate the power of diversity in driving creativity and fostering positive change. Join us as we engage in thought-provoking conversations like
I made myself intentionally homeless in pursuit of my purpose.
We're aware that a lot of people want to present and they were in my position, and what's worse, they weren't a white male, which is a joke that's even still a thing.
I think my family never ever say you can't do something, so full of support for whatever dream. If I said tomorrow I want to fly to the moon, they'll probably say I wish you all the best, Mel.
So guys, I just want to say thank you for supporting the Us People podcast for the past 5 years, and we look forward to sharing another new theme song with you. Let's go. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People Show in 2024. Welcome guys, I'm your host Savia Rocks, and today I am abundantly humbled to have Maria Morgan here with me. She is a social worker, youth worker, child counsellor, mentor, coach, parenting trainer, and the author of Embrace Your Why and the Value of It. Maria has worked within the care community sector and in the housing support for over 25 years. Maria, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People Show. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. So Maria told me that she was actually there when I said my poem. So it's so nice to have you here. So thank you so much, Maria. My first question for you is, could you tell me a bit about yourself, where you grew up, but also how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Yeah, such a great question. I'm Maria Morgan. I have, altogether 6 siblings, and grew up in Southeast London, in Deptford. I grew up in Deptford. I was born in Southwark, I have a daughter. My mum and dad from Jamaica, and I think everything that I do has influence, has been inspired by where I grew up, my experiences, and my experience in growing up in Southeast London and going through education and the challenges and the ups and downs and the great stuff that happened, all has kind of brought me to where I am today. Really, my parents, my beliefs, it's all part of the foundation of who I am.
See, this is what I love. What was it like growing up in a cultural Jamaican family? Did they support you in your dreams and your aspirations for you to be able to do what you love doing today?
Yes, growing up, I never felt restricted by my parents. They always was encouraging to us. And obviously growing up in Jamaica themselves and coming to England and navigating the education system was tricky, and maybe not fully understanding, the nuances of it. But I always remember my dad saying, get an education, and my mum, always kind of encouraging us to do that. And for me, school was not easy. I did not find it easy. I found it challenging. Went through quite a lot at school in terms of bullying, experienced that quite intensively, and, not quite understanding my place in education, and also understanding my abilities, and it wasn't as academic as some of the my other peers. But from that and going on into college and university, I began to teach myself and understand the way my brain, you know, processed things, and began to understand my strengths and where I had a challenge, where do I work on that. So I think going into college and university, I found myself and found my own voice and started to appreciate the way I thought.
See, that's a beautiful way to transition, which actually leads me to my next question. So, could you define who you are as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, Maria, has there ever been a time in your life where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to go from a place where you didn't necessarily feel like you could be yourself and be the person that you wanted to be, to evolving to start on your journey where you felt this is who I need to be and this is where I want to be and who I am?
Yeah, wow, what a question. Such a deep question, and it's got so many layers to it.
Yeah,
So I could be here all year.
I don't mind. That's fine with me. Fine.
um, but for me, fundamentals of who I am, I believe that I was made in the image of God.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that we are image bearers of
Yeah.
Him, creative, multifaceted in the way we think and see things.
Yeah.
That's the foundation of who I believe I am. And then from that, I see myself as somebody that is made with a purpose,
Yes.
and like we all are, made with a purpose. And how I live and carry out my life is to be able to fulfill that purpose. That my life is about not just myself, but who I'm connected to, and to be able to live in that space and try and make a difference and learn from the environment that I'm in as well. I am a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a learner, I'm a leader, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman. They're the things I am, but the core of my identity is my faith.
I like that.
Um, your other question is about how have I can't remember the other part of your question
Oh,
because it's deep. So
no. How do you see your reflection in the mirror? And has there ever been a time where
yeah,
you have looked and not recognized who you were?
yeah. Well, growing up, when you've been through a lot of trauma in terms of extreme bullying,
Yeah.
you begin to kind of question how my parents says I am or what my faith says I am. And then when I go to school, there's a different opinion about who I am.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was trying to see how do these both connect. So at home, at church, Marie, you're beautiful, you're wonderfully made, that we love you, you're this, you're this. But at school, you've been told something else. You've been told that you're not nice, you're ugly, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're all of these things. And then you're trying to kind of make a connection of, so what am I then?
Yeah.
And when you're younger and at school, and your friend seems to have a higher monopoly on how you feel about themselves. Your mum, oh, she's just saying it because they have to, because he's my mum, or my dad's just saying it because they have to. They're my dad. He's my dad. He has to love me. But when somebody doesn't need to love you because they don't have that title and choose to hurt you, you
Mm.
start to think, actually, is it what they're saying, is that right about me? And so I went through that kind of challenge in my own mind and in my own self, and trying to understand where I fit in and what was really reality. And I went through such a lot in trying to work that out within myself. And it's only when I began to connect with the core of what I believed in that
Yeah.
I am made with a purpose. I am made in the image of God. I am beautifully and wonderfully made. I am who I am. There is only one of Maria Morgan, just like there's only one person with my fingerprints.
Yes.
I am uniquely made, and I'm not an accident or a mistake. When I began to accept myself and see myself and accept me for me, and start to see that people are going to always have their opinion, but what do I say about myself? And how do I accept myself? And when I began to accept myself, I would say, around about the age of, I would say 15, but really 18, I kind of like began to love myself and say, this is me. And that was a journey.
See, but this is what I love when you ask people that particular question. It gets really down to the core of who they are and what
Yeah.
they've actually been through, because people go through so much every single day. One saying that I always have is, how I treat you is a reflection of myself. How you treat me is a reflection of myself. If I carry that, then you're showing people who you are authentically, in your good days, in your bad days, in your rough days. It doesn't matter. You're
Yeah.
all showing people. So I'm so glad that you shared that
Yeah.
with us in that way. So one of the things I do want to ask you is, what has been your inspiration in your life? Who are the people? Who are the people who have inspired you in your life?
Yeah. Apart from my faith, it's my mother.
Yeah.
Um, she really inspired. My mum passed away many years ago now, but she really inspired me. The way she held on to her faith, the way she held on to what she believed in, even in the hardest of times,
Yeah.
her conviction, her care for people and communities, her love for her children, her ability to love and still accept us as individuals.
Yeah.
I love that she really made a difference to my life. My father, came over this country, and it was not easy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he continued to keep going. My brothers and sisters, they are my lighthouses. They are my support. I've got so many of my friends, the people that I hold dear to me, they just continue to encourage me and are my cheerleaders. So they're the people close to me that they inspire my daughter. They inspire me all the time to be a better person.
Yeah.
And I can be vulnerable and say, actually, this is what's going on. And there's only a few people, but they mean so much to me.
They'll know. They'll definitely know.
You know, yeah.
But you have so many titles. So
Oh God.
no, it's good because listen, God gave you talents, right? So there's social work, there's parenting trainer, there's coaching, there's mentoring. All of these things help not just for yourself, Maria, but help
Mm,
generations down the line.
mm,
And it's kind of like leaving a legacy of who you are, because you're helping to educate other generations so they can pass that education on to other people. But when it comes to social work, I just want to touch on social work
yeah.
just for a while. Social work often involves addressing systematic issues and advocating for social change, which I think is very true.
Mm,
Can you discuss, if you're allowed to discuss, any specific incident where you encountered resistance or were pushed back in your efforts to create change, and how did you persevere through it?
yeah, that's fantastic. I take off my hat to social work. As I said, I'm a trained social worker. I worked in fostering, adoption. I worked in children looked after, children in need. I used to try to find families for children who they were no longer with their birth parents. And I'm no longer directly in social work, but one of the areas that I found challenging, it was kind of difficult, is the red tape, the paperwork, the kind of deadlines that you need to do. And it's important because you're a statutory social worker, you have a legal obligation to do certain things. But why I came into social work was not naive. I wasn't naive in terms of the work that we had to do in terms of paperwork, bureaucracy, of all of that. But I really wanted to connect with people. I really wanted to get to the heart and the root of why a child or why an individual ended up in the care system. And so my managers were great and gracious, but they used to say, Maria, have you done that paperwork? And I'm like, yes, I have. But I went to that family home because I really wanted to understand what was going on. And I used to get really good results because I used to spend time in the family getting to know what was going on.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
obviously there is a need for paperwork. So obviously I did my paperwork, and that was some of the challenge I've got in terms of what was more important. Is it getting all the paperwork done, which is, but is it about really touching and getting to the root of what's going on for that child in foster care who wants to run away? How can we help their experience in foster care the best it could be for them, while we try to work out what's going on with their birth parents? And how can the foster carer feel empowered to make a difference with that child? And sometimes it's just needed for you to sit down and talk and understand what is going on, so the placement didn't break down, for example. So it's that push and pull for what the heart of social worker is truly about and why people go into it, versus the mundane things that you need to do to also keep yourself and the children that you serve safe.
The one thing I do want to ask Maria is the emotional side, especially for you from your perspective. How
Mm,
do you take your emotional? Because being a social worker, even a mentor, or anything to do with engaging with people can be very, very emotionally draining.
mm,
Also, it can have its rewards as well. But how do you separate your emotions, especially when you're in a really emotional situation?
yeah,
Where you know what you want to do within the situation in order for it to get solved or for in order to make those children's lives better. How do you take yourself out of the equation emotionally, but still be consistent in your work and how you do it?
yeah. One of the things that I think is important, and people might have a different view on this, I think when you go to work, you bring your personal and professional. I don't think you leave one at home. I think you bring them together. You bring your person to
Like,
that environment. But I think the key thing is knowing that, and also knowing when, being aware, self aware, that when your personal is being impacted, or where you begin to it starts to impact, your work is beginning to impact how you're feeling personally, is being aware of that
yeah,
and having the space. That's why supervision is important, having the space to talk about how this is impacting you. So it's very much being self-aware, that you're aware of yourself, you're aware both is coming to work, and also you're self-aware of actually when you have to take yourself out and remove yourself from that situation or get some support. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is really you begin to develop a resilience in yourself, to know actually, for me, work is not just work and that's it. It's a part of, I think, my calling. Is the part of the thing that I would do if I wasn't getting paid.
yeah,
So it's kind of really, really knowing that, actually accepting that when you go into work, you're doing your total best.
that's
You're
true.
giving your best self. You're bringing your best self. So when I put down my computer and log off for that evening, I know that I've done my best and I've done all that I could do to make sure that situation or the people that I have responsible for is okay, and they know what to do for themselves if something happens, if I'm not available. So it's also really knowing that actually I've done my best and that's okay. There's nothing more that I could have done. So I accept that as well. I think thirdly is having spaces in your life where you are able to that you are taking care of yourself, that you're
Yes.
being kind to yourself, you
Yep.
know, that you find things. There's one thing that I kind of introduced to media or some of my people that's close to me. I began to write down the things that made my heart smile.
I
And
like
I
that.
make sure in that week I do at least 2 or 3 things in that list that makes my heart smile, whether it's playing the guitar, singing, doing art, going out with friends. I'm doing something that's making my heart smile. I'm taking care of myself. So I think there's many things, but they're the three key things: acknowledging that you are coming in with personal and professional, and you're self-aware. You have a place where you can talk. You take care of yourself and be kind.
I love
There's,
that. I totally love that. You
yeah,
founded your own company, CIC Company. Let's talk about your company. This is something that I love to speak about when
yeah,
people decide that, yep, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my own company and it's going to be for a specific reason. Let's talk about why you started a company and
yeah,
what you wanted to achieve.
yeah. Well, I've always had a passion for community. I've always had a desire to um, to support somebody through challenging times.
Yep.
Um, I've always had that in me, as well as love music and the
Well, we're
arts.
going to get to music too. We're gonna get to music.
But I always had a desire to do that, and I've always had a desire to create projects and programs for the community,
Yeah.
and so that was something that I've always wanted to do. I worked in this organisation, and I had a great manager called Nikki Bradley, and I had the opportunity to write a program, and this was called the Rent Support Program,
Oh,
resolving rent arrears within 10 weeks, and so somebody can sustain their tenancy, and I was able to write a project like that, and from there, I I said to her, "Look, I think we've got something here. I think we could build a business from this." And long story short, I went on to a Dragon's Den kind of experience,
yes.
and we got kind of some seed money to start Kinera, which is now 12 years ago,
Oh,
and became an independent an organisation.
see, when you put your mind to something, it will work.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. If you got a passion for it and you know why you're doing it, definitely.
Let's talk about your book because now you've gone from, social work, having an organization,
Mhm.
and now your book as well. So you've done so many phenomenal things within your life. There's a lot more coming, but
Oh, I received that.
there's a lot more coming. So let's talk about your book. What impacted you to decide I'm gonna write a book called Embrace Your Why and the value of it? What was your inspiration? Because this is something I love about writers as well. The emotional aspect of getting something from your mind and onto the paper because some people actually find it quite hard to transition their words of how they feel onto the paper. So what was your epiphany or what was your guide or spiritual feeling towards writing this book?
Well, just to be able to write a book is just a testament of just faith and um, because as I said, academically, I really struggled. It was not easy for me. I really found school challenging, and where I began, as I said, to learn about how do I overcome that was when I went to university and started to write assignments, to be honest. But I always knew I had something that I wanted to say and communicate. And the word why has always intrigued me. I mean, why is such a foundational core question that occurs every single moment of our life.
That's
Even
true.
even the mundane things we do in life has a reason. We brush our teeth for a reason.
Yeah,
You know, we look left and right before we cross the road for a reason. We
yeah,
breathe in and out for a reason. There is a why always associated in everything we do. And I wanted to really talk about why in a dimensional way, in a brief little book that's introducing this concept that could be written in so many ways, and really began to see why when I started to, especially go into leadership, and
yeah,
how core it is to why you do what you do, why you show up the way you show up, why you interact the way you interact, how you look at the world, how you perceive the world, how you receive, how you reject. Everything is coming, there's a why behind that. And if we become curious about the why, we then begin to show up differently. We
that's true.
begin to experience things differently. We begin to talk to people and relate differently and become curious about what underpins that motivation, what is underpinning that response and that reaction. And I think when we see it as an everyday part of our life, and actually it's a critical friend to us, it can be, if we begin to appreciate that and not be frightened of that word. And then I thought, I have something to say, and I thought I could write at least some pages about it.
No, you've done brilliantly well. When I had a chance to read it, it was articulately explained, how you felt about things, and even help educate me on certain things that I didn't know, especially when you talk about embracing healthy boundaries, which a lot of us find very hard to do
Oh,
sometimes. Because what we do is we give our all, what we also do is we give our kindness in areas. And sometimes I've learned that not everybody will appreciate your kindness.
yes,
And
yes.
sometimes it's hard for us to take in that. So we continuously keep giving our kindness, but then realize, you know what, I'm just utilizing too much of my energy.
Mm.
Then we have to come back. But this is a question I actually wanted to ask you. How do you establish healthy boundaries in your life?
It's been a journey. It's been a journey, like what you're saying. If you're somebody that really is just here, you're giving, you're really open and in that way. And if somebody doesn't know how to appreciate it, or the way they appreciate it is not actually how you feel appreciated,
Yeah.
can be tricky. And actually, I wrote something about that in the book, and then I took it out actually. um, but I think it's really important to know, have space to know yourself, have
True.
space to know your why, have space to know what you need, and your why. Why are you given? So, for example, running a business, it takes a lot. It's enjoyable, it's great when you do something that you love, but it requires a lot from you, and not
That's
just business, in relationships, everything. But when you understand why you're doing that, it's not then tied to anybody's response to what you're doing.
yeah.
You're showing up because there's a why that is connected to your value and who you are. And so your showing up is not impinged to whether somebody shows up for you, or whether they appreciate you, or whether they do whatever they're doing. You're there beyond the external validation, or what people may or may want to say, or how they take it or not. So it's in making sure that what you're doing and that your why is really connected to the person you are, and it feeds you.
Yes, definitely. That
Yeah.
definitely. Also, one of the things I was going to say to Maria is if we could talk about comfort zones.
Mm,
A lot of the time, a lot of us as individuals, we stay in our comfort zone
yeah.
and don't branch out. I was always told, my grandma told me this. She said to me, when God wants to challenge you or change something in your life, he makes you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Talk to me about any challenges that you've ever had in your life where your comfort zone was challenged, but then helped you to become a better person.
Yeah. I think all through my life I've always been challenged. And especially when you've gone through challenging times, in areas of your life when you've not felt that you was being accepted or for who you are, you're either gonna go behind, you're either going to hide away and not show yourself and not be the light that you need to be, and stay where people think you should be,
Yeah,
or you're going to step out and say, actually, no, I need to move forward. And I think one of the ways that I kind of face challenges, I lean into the process of the challenge, because when you lean into it and you go with where this challenge is leading you, at the end of it, you're going to come out in a different way. Like, a butterfly goes through that metamorphosis kind of ways and that cocoon stage, and to come out of it is a challenge, but at the end of it, it becomes something very beautiful.
that's true.
And I think what I have, you know um had to push myself against my own self. Even writing this book, I had those old voices. Oh, Maria, you can't this. Maria, like I wrote at the beginning of the book, I had a teacher, you're not going to be able to write. You can't write. You're not going to make
Yeah.
sense. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize you, but I am going to go forward because there's a message and I think it can be of help to my fellow humans
Yeah.
and myself. So I had to push against the grain of myself and face it.
I think a lot of us, we deal with imposter syndrome every single
Oh,
day. And the way you said yeah is like, it's like, yeah.
yeah.
You know, imposter syndrome, I think, starts from childhood or whoever was our role models in life or whatever we see in life as well plays a major part of who we are and kind of dictates our path and our choices in a way. But
Mm,
then it's up to us on whether or not we want to change those things that have happened to us in our lives and decide what path we're gonna go on. So
yeah,
I definitely understand. So
yeah,
I know you were talking about music earlier on.
yes.
So I'm gonna get a little bit into music right now. So if I said to you, Maria, if you could choose one song that was the soundtrack of
Oh,
your life, what song would you choose and why would you choose that particular song?
that's a hard one because that's almost like so impossible to even. I've got so many people. I love Fred Hammonds. I like Lauren Hill. I like Music Soul Child. I like, there's so many people. I don't know. To be honest, I can't. I can't. Um, there's one song. There's so many people that I love, but there's one song that I love. And it's a Psalms, but it was written by Fred Hammond,
Yeah.
and it was talking about drawing nigh to God, drawing closer. And that's I chose that because that's my heart's desire, just to learn and understand more and see things the way he sees things. But then I got Lauren Hill and some of her tracks. But yeah, that I'd say that's a heart song for me.
What would your Lauren I just wanna know now, what would your Lauren Hill track be?
God, there's a song where it is about a relationship she went through, and you can feel
The
the
pain.
hurt that
Yeah.
she felt. And I was just thinking, you know, some of my little experiences in that area, you felt like when she sings it, what was it called, without singing it, I can't remember the title, but when she sings it, I'm singing it with her because I feel her pain, I feel what she's you know, trying to express, and that's what I love about her voice. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. This
And
is
my
good.
sister, she's an amazing singer and writer, Davina Watson. She is
Yes.
one of my best writers. She's amazing. Her and her husband are brilliant.
See,
So check her out, Davina Watson.
I am definitely now. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
definitely going to check it out. I think teachers are one of the best and most influential people in our lives.
Yeah.
If there was one person that you said to yourself, taught you something that you will never forget in your life of school or education, who would it be and why?
I think, you know, I there was one teacher, and it wasn't that she, because I had as I said, a really challenging experience with
Yeah.
teachers as well. Um, but there was one teacher I had that always used to sit with me and encourage me, and she'd done that through song because she was a music teacher, Mrs. Moore, and she really, really always just sat with me in my tears and just comfort me, and would just go on the piano and sing.
I like that.
And that was brilliant. And another person that really inspired me and influenced me on my journey, as I said, my manager, Nikki Bradley, she saw my potential,
Yeah.
and she took time to really mentor me into leadership and understand the nuances of leadership. So
I like
she was actually amazing. I had another manager called Sahil, just embrace me, allow me to be me. So I've been really blessed to have such great people who inspire me, people believe in me. There's so many Samarian partners who invest in me, and vision, urban impact on health. I could go on. They invest in visions, and the people that are working with Canera, you know, my colleagues, they really inspire me. So I'm so grateful. I have critical friends around me, and I don't take them for granted. Um,
I
yeah.
can see that. I
Call
can,
out to Alicia as well, if she's watching. She's
I
a
can
great one.
definitely, I can definitely see that. So if I said to you, if no, a lot of the time we get judged all the time based upon how we look, how we speak, and where we're from. But if there was no judgment in the world, what would you do differently?
Wow, where do you get these questions from? They're amazing. I'm just trying to put myself in a space where there's no judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and just feeling that the weight that comes off you when you begin to imagine a world without
Mm-hmm.
judgment. And what does that mean for you? Because you've had to face and fight against judgment every day.
Exactly.
So I think the internal challenge, the internal war in your mind would cease. And then that um, freedom to be authentically who you were created to be, without that inner war of what the judgment you put on yourself first,
Yep.
because you have the judgment from everyone, but I think the hardest and the most critical or judgment is the one that you have in yourself.
Exactly.
That's more stronger.
I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there. Actually a good way of answering it.
Good. It was a good question.
Oh, that's why you answered that. That was a good way. I was actually thinking about it just now, but that's actually a good way of answering it. So if I said to you, if you could choose one quote that represented you as a person, she's thinking now, what quote would you choose and why would you choose that particular quote?
Wow. My goodness, I love quotes, and I write a lot of them down, and now my mind's gone totally blank on a quote. One that comes to me, that it's not a quote, but it's a verse that, greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. There's greatness in you, and that greatness in you is God. And if you get yourself in that space to know actually what's in me is greater than whatever trials I'm going to face. You're going to face trials. We're all going to face trials.
That's
But
true.
if you know you've got something bigger in you, then you can face them. I've got so many quotes in yeah. If I knew this in advance, I would have given you. That's what makes you so good at what you do. You have to think.
No, don't worry. We can have a round two. You can come back again, and then you can lay it all on the line. You can just lay it all on the line. So my next one for you is, tell me about a time where you have overcome an obstacle, but then has challenged your personality towards yourself and towards other people in your life.
I've had many that I faced, but I think the biggest one that I faced was not loving myself, not liking myself, not accepting myself. Because I think when you do not feel comfortable in your skin and you struggle to accept yourself, it makes you see the world in a different way.
That is true.
You have a warped view, or you have a tarnished view of the world, because the way you see yourself limits the way you see everything beyond yourself.
That's
So
true.
when you begin to kind of embrace yourself and accept yourself and who you are, and begin to love yourself, then you'll be able to connect with people and love people and see the world differently, because you're not consumed with yourself.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think that's helped me. And know that, yeah, just accept myself, and also just be the light that I'm meant to be. Not hiding myself, but actually step into it. And it doesn't mean you're not humble. It's that you've accepted the call of who you are, and you're stepping out there because you know it's not just about you now. Your life is for others.
I like that. One of the things that I was told only the other day is about knowing when to be humble and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it's okay not always to be humble.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I actually learned that just the other day, because I was so used to always giving that kindness and humbleness.
Mm-hmm.
That a friend said to me, it's okay not to be humble sometimes, especially when you're living in your purpose.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
about the way that you articulate yourself through your humbleness. And life is very emotional. And sometimes the way that we do articulate
Mm.
ourselves can be very different and difficult, like you said.
Yeah.
So, my next one for you, Maria, is, what is the best advice you have ever received in your life, and how has it helped you throughout the purpose of your life?
Mm. One of the things my sister said to me, actually, when I went through a really challenging time of really accepting a situation that I was in,
Yeah,
and she said to me, Maria, the biggest thing that you need to do right now is accept where you are. Accept where you are, and also know that seasons change.
that is true.
It's not going to stay the same.
That
But
is
as
true.
long as you keep on fighting against what the reality is right now, and accepting it and lean into it and learn from that and evolve from it and make something out of it, you're going to never embrace what's in front of you, because you're not accepting. And so when she said that to me, it was like I could breathe. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fight where I am. This is the situation. And I'm going to lean into it and walk through it. And true enough, the season changed and it was okay.
See,
So I had many words, but that really changed that situation for me.
if I said to you that you could work within your company but have one civil rights activist to work with you, who would it be and why?
Jeez.
Imagine what they could do. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh my gosh. I have many in my mind, but I'm thinking I'm going to say things that most people say anyway. I was going to say Rosa Parks. Then I was going to say
No one said Rosa. No one said Rosa Parks so far.
Oh,
Like you're doing good.
Martin Luther King and Mary Seacole. But I think what I like about Rosa Parks is her stance in something that was just so day to day, but also something that should be a given that you can just, as a human being, sit wherever you want to sit.
Yeah.
And really raising up to say, you are asking me to do something that actually should be anyone's right to sit wherever they please. And I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit here because actually it's my God given right to place myself wherever I've paid to get on the bus and just took that tenacious stance. It changed so much, something as simple as that, but so profound. And I love that tenacity where it counts. You've got to know the time to pick a battle, and that was the right time.
If I said to you, can you define success? Because we all have our different ways of defining success.
Yeah.
What would be your definition of defining success in your way?
Inner peace. Peace.
That was nice and easy.
Yeah.
That was nice and easy. So my next one, which will connect with that one, is when was the last time you felt totally at peace with yourself?
I think when you begin to kind of connect with the core of who you believe you were created to be and whose you belong to, you begin to let go of life. You begin to let go of things and realize actually it's okay to really know that you're not in control of everything. And for me, I believe God is in control. I believe someone greater than me is in control. And I'm learning, and it's not easy day by day to let go my grip on life and just hold it loosely and trust someone bigger than me. And that's a day process, and that's where I connect to peace. And because it doesn't make you feel you don't need to control everything. But what I've been given, I'm going to do my best to do the best of what I've been given to do or what I think I'm going to do. But I'm starting to hold life more loosely and trust that there's a bigger purpose. And as I said, it's not easy. It's the day to day. But that's where I find my peace.
See, that's a beautiful thing. So if I said to you, what is your ultimate goal in life, would you say? I know you've spoken about your purpose and believing in the higher presence above that helps guide you to where you would like to be and want to be. But what is Maria's inner? Because we always hold something very dear to us inside that we say, this is where I would like to be in life. This is what I want to do with my life. What would you say it is?
I'm going to quote, that you talked about a quote. I was going to quote something that someone said, and Miles Monroe, I don't know, he's a really kind of amazing, he passed away, amazing speaker. But one of the last things he said is live my life until it's empty.
Yes, I've heard that many times.
Just give it all. Just give it all. Once you know what you believe, you know what you're meant to be doing. You're just giving all, and to love well and to
Yeah,
be loved. You
I agree
know,
with that
give
one.
it all, love well, and be loved.
See,
Yeah.
so I've only got a few more for you, Maria, but
Okay.
what would your advice be to anybody going into any of the fields that you abundantly working and across so well? What would your advice be, especially with social working or mentoring, or just being in that space where vulnerability can also enhance you as a person, but also understanding the boundaries and the limitations of the work that you do? But what would your advice be to anybody working hard to go into those fields to make a change and impact in those?
Yeah. I think the first thing I would say, and this is really what I would have said if I've written a book or not, is know your why. Know why you're going to do what you're doing, because the area that I'm in is not easy. You hear so much challenge, there's so much difficulties, there's oppression, there's so much happening, there's inner oppression, there's external oppression that people face, and you've been invited to come on the journey with them. And so knowing your why and why you're doing what you're doing is important, because you're going to need it when times are hard. You're going to need to know why you're getting up and facing this another day, or helping somebody that is that all of a sudden lost their home and living on the streets, and you're trying to find somewhere but nobody can afford to live
Yeah,
in
that's
London. You've got to know your why. And also to know that actually, when I came into social work, or I was like, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to change the world, and I still have that optimism. It's not gone yet, but what I've done now is where I am.
I like
I'm,
it. It's good that you have that. It's good.
I'm going to
You
change.
need to have it.
Yeah, you've got to have that wider ambition, but I think it's about actually where I am. I'm going to do my best to make the change that I can make where I am,
Exactly.
and connect with people who has the same vision,
Yes.
and or may see it differently but has the same aim. So yeah, I would say know your why. Go in there understanding why you're doing what you're doing, because it has to be beyond money or any of that.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and do your utmost best. Leave work knowing you did your best.
So my next one ties into the previous question slightly.
Yeah.
So it's, what is Maria's legacy? We all have a legacy within us. It doesn't have to be the biggest legacy. Sometimes being kind to an individual that doesn't know you, they remember it for the rest of their life, and that leaves a legacy itself.
Mhm.
But what would you say is Maria's legacy in her life that she would like to leave behind?
One of the things I hope that when I'm involved with anything, I now I get involved because I want there to be a long-lasting impact and change. I,
Yes.
I no longer go into things where I don't think that could be the end result. So that's I'm very try to be very intentional about what I put my time and my energy to. That's like, you know. But I think one of the things that I would want to be remembered, when you've met Maria, there's been a change. There's been a difference. You come away with a different view.
Yeah,
You come away with something, and that's what I would like. That people felt that their lives have been touched in some way.
I like that. That makes definite sense to me. So, Maria, I just have one more for you, and that is, I would love for everyone to be able to find you on all
Yeah,
platforms. So, where can we find you? Where can we read your book? Where can we buy your book?
yeah.
Where can we find out more about the beautiful Maria?
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, the book is on Amazon at the moment. So it's Embrace Your Why and the Value of It, Maria Morgan. You can get it on Kindle as well. Oh God, I'm on all platforms, to be honest. I'm on LinkedIn, Maria Morgan. I'm on Instagram, My Narrative, no, Maria I'm reading now, Morgan inspire, YouTube, My Narrative in Pieces, and I'm on TikTok. And also, I have a consultancy company business. So if anyone wanted me to speak or do some coaching, I'm on contact at mamorganconsultancy.com. I have a website as well. So yeah, you can catch me everywhere.
I like that, guys. Go and support Maria. Make sure you get in contact. Having someone new, fresh, and inspirational is always a beautiful thing to have. And this is where, Maria, I say thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People show, for showing your compassion, your kindness, your vulnerability, especially, and just being authentically you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been such a privilege being here and talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And guys, I want to say thank you so much for listening to the Us People show. And please remember, you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also connect with us every Thursday at 8 p.m. UK time. You can also see us on Apple TV, Fire TV, Freeview Channel 271, YouTube, and anywhere else that you desire. Please also listen to Us People podcast on Tuesdays, and you can find us on the Us People podcast website also. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Understanding my place in education, and also understanding my abilities, and it wasn't as academic as some of the my other peers, but from that and going on into college and university, I began to teach myself and understand the way my brain processed things, and began to understand my strengths and where I had a challenge, where do I work on that. So I think going into college and university, I found myself and found my own voice, and started to appreciate the way I feel.
Soaring through this journey, leaving fear far behind. Our hearts are full of courage. You can win if you try. Redirect the yes to you. You'll see the power in yes if you try.